A very warm welcome to round 5 of Fanatec GT World Challenge Asia, powered by AWS. 5 out of 6, but importantly, it's also round 4 out of 4 for the Japan Cup element of the championship. The crowds have been flocking in all day. It's been a very warm week on the tail of a typhoon, but the grid looking immaculate. But also history in this series about to be made. It's the first time we're racing with a separate race for the GT4 runners. This is 31 GT3 cars on a very, very crowded grid. So track conditions pretty much as they've been all day. Track temperature just under 32 degrees, air temperature up to 30, but also high humidity, 63%, falling a little bit, which is good. But the crowd have been very busy all day. They had a pit walk just before lunchtime today, and they took up the opportunity to get down and take a look at the cars, and the atmosphere has been building really very, very nicely. Lots for people to see and do. I said it was busy early on. Just look how many people were down there enjoying the show on the grid. Great to have the young here as well, the fans of tomorrow, taking a look at the cars they love so much, the Ferraris, the Aston Martins, the Porsches. The mix is enormous here in GT3 racing. Lamborghini, you can have one of those as well, and a lot of photos were taken, and it's just so good. The typhoon hit early this week. We worried if the meeting was going to be able to go ahead, but go ahead it shall, with 2 GT3 races, one today and one on Sunday, and likewise the first time GT4 separated for their own race around this 13-turn circuit in the west of Japan at Okayama. Some fabulous corners. This is turn 6 that feeds the cars onto the back straight, and that is where the overtaking. But with all the points from Fanatec GT around the world, the global points, Mercedes lead the way from Porsche, from Audi. BMW need to get a bit of a move on, down in 4th place. Ferrari, well, they're in the mix here today. McLaren and Lamborghini at the bottom. Lamborghini, I think, could gain about 3 positions today. But to explain it all, what is about to happen, let's hear what Tom Hornsby has to say about what lies ahead.
Championship titles will be decided here in the foothills of Okayama, which not only hosts the penultimate Fanatec GT Asia event and Fanatec Japan Cup season finale, but also SRO's first ever standalone GT4 races in Asia. But first, a word on Okayama, where Takeshi Kimura and Kei Cozzolino defeated Prince Jeffrey Ibrahim and Nick Foster in a dramatic championship showdown 11 months ago. The former Pacific Grand Prix venue is a regular on the domestic Super GT and Super Formula schedules, but rarely hosts international series. Indeed, last year's Fanatec GT Asia round was the first since 2010. Now for the championship permutations, and we're starting with the overall GT3 situation as the season enters its critical final third. Luca Stoltz has clashing commitments this weekend, so only his co-driver, Prince Abu Bakr Ibrahim, who's instead joined by Michael Grenier, can clinch the title here. 888 JMR's Mercedes-AMG needs to win, finish second, and have other results go its way across the 2 races for Ibrahim to establish an unassailable advantage before Sepang. Although mathematically possible, that's also highly unlikely, with according to Pubstak and Anthony Liu both start 9 points behind, while Motegi's race 2 winner, Liu Wei, is another 6 further back. In truth, all 3 drivers require an absolute shocker here for Ibrahim to win the title. Fanatec Japan Cup is a very different story. Following rounds at Fuji, Suzuka and Motegi, the championship within a championship concludes this weekend, and potentially as early as race 1 on Saturday. 3 crews can still win the overall GT3 title, but Porsche Center Okazaki's Hiroaki Nagai and Yuta Kamamura start as hot favourites after winning twice at Motegi and establishing a 17-point lead. Finishing 5th or better in race 1 could be enough for Nagai and Kamamura to seal the crown, although that will depend on the results of D-Station's Satoshi Hoshino and Tomonobu Fuji, and BMW M-Team Studies Tomohide Yamaguchi and Seiji Ara, who remain mathematical contenders. Elsewhere, Comet Racing's Yusuke Yamasaki and Yurikatsu Sajiko start as overwhelming Japan Cup AM-Class Championship favourites, thanks to their 37-point lead over Masaki Nishikawa and Atsushi Tanaka. But the focus isn't solely on GT3 this weekend. SRO stages its first ever standalone GT4 races here at Okayama, which count towards both the overall and Fanatec Japan Cup Championships. Just like Fanatec GT Asia, the 2 GT4 races will last 1 hour, feature 2 drivers per car, and require 1 mandatory pit stop halfway through. They also include this year's 2 primary title contenders, YZ Racing with BMW M-Team Study and Czech Shop Kymania Racing, whose drivers are separated by 16 points. Toyota Gazoo Racing Indonesia can also still win the driver's title at Sepang, but only if the results go their way this weekend. The rest of the entry includes Aston Martin, Mercedes-AMG and McLaren, whose Artura is making its Asia debut. A reminder that all 4 races are live on SRO's GT World YouTube channel, as well as across Japan on J Sports Digital and TV channels.
Well, I hope you had your notebooks out with all those facts and figures from Tom, but at the front of the grid we have a busy day, but at the front of the grid, how about these for an array of supercars? Pagani, a couple of Bugattis and a Ferrari as well. But let's go down to hear from the crew that lead the Japan Cup, Yuta Kamimura with Porsche Center Okazaki and Ama.
上村選手、今週末ですね、今日と明日でジャパンカップが最終戦となりますけれども、今日で、条件次第ですがチャンピオンとなる可能性があります。
そうですね、ランキングリーダーなんで結構大事なレースになってくるかなというふうには思ってます。とはいえ、焦らずにこのレースをしっかり戦いたいなと思います。
So it will be quite a tough race and a serious one, obviously for them because it's for the Japan Cup Championship. But keep your, emotions down and he's gonna push as hard as he can. 新しいヘアスタイルで参戦しているということで、これはもうチャンピオンになるという意気込みと見てもよろしいでしょうか。
いや、単純にもうコロコロ変えるんで僕は。そうですね。はい。どうですか、似合ってますか。
So how does my new hairstyle look? That's his question. でも真面目な話、永井選手いつもよりかは緊張されてましたか。
いや、でもね、本当に落ち着いてます。逆にどのレースもあんまり一喜一憂せずに淡々とレースこなすドライバーなので、その点僕は安心してますし、僕自身も落ち着いてレースしないといけないなとは思います。
それではぜひね、チャンピオン目指して頑張っていただきたいと思います。頑張ってください。
頑張ります。
So I asked him whether Nagai, who is sitting in the car right now, is a little bit nervous. He said no, he is usually a calm driver, so not really nervous as usual. But however, they talked about it in the meeting. Just keep the pace, be calm, and not to think too much about the championship, and keep the car safe and bring it back safe so that he can also push as hard as he can towards the championship. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Amy. And in fact, for Hiroaki Nagai, who's in the car, and Yuta Kamimura, the younger driver in that pairing who we heard from there, they've been so consistent, but also going ever closer to the front. The last 4 races have produced a second, a third, a fourth, and 11th, and they're just consistent. They really seem to have a winning formula. But of course, this weekend will decide whether Porsche Center Okazaki come out on top. But it's great to see so much action down there on the grid. There is the number 18 Porsche, the orange one, that's leading the Japan Cup alongside the one Lamborghini in the race. That's Spirit of FFF Racing Team, and always goes very well in the hands of Hiroshi Hamaguchi. But as you can see up ahead, they've got the number 500 5-Ziegen Nissan, and then the 911 on pole position. That is the AAS Motorsport by Absolute Racing Porsche, and alongside busy right down to the back of the grid. And one of the cars that won last year is right at the tail of the grid, the D-Station Racing Aston Martin. That won the second race last year. Let's see what they can pull off, but it shows how things can change. But of course, 2 races per meeting, each race 1 hour with a driver change in the middle. 88, an important car. That is the one that is at the front overall in the Fanatec GT World Challenge Asia points. Let's not confuse those with the points for the Japan Cup. And that will be started by Prince Abubakar Ibrahim, and then he'll hand over to his new teammate for this weekend, which is Michael Grenier, the Canadian racer. Amy is very, very busy down on the grid, and she's alongside Comet Racing, and we're going to hear from Yorikatsu Sujika, who'll be the driver who starts the number 7 Ferrari.
辻子選手、ジャパンカップアマクラスのチャンピオンがもう目の前に来てます。大手かかってますけれども、このレースいかに戦いましょう。
そうですね、広くないサーキットで、混乱が予想されるんですけど、巻き込まないように第一にで、中盤ちょっと後ろあたりなんですけど、後ろも気にしないとダメで、前も気にしないとダメで、ちょっと落ち着いたレースをしたいなと思ってます。
それでは素晴らしい結果に向けて頑張ってください。応援してます。So yeah, it will be a very, very important race for them. However, since the track is very narrow and a lot is going on track, he wants to keep it safe, not to, touch any other cars. Looking out to the front and also in the back because the rivalry is just huge. But he's hoping to, do a safe race and bring it back and become the AM class champion, I guess. Back to you.
Races within the overall race. We've got so many things to watch. We've got the outright championship. We've also got the Japan Cup element, but also we've got these things called turns 1 and 2, and it got very, very busy on the opening lap of the second race last year. Downhill right-hander, turn 1, carry on down the hill to turn 2, up to the left. And then their first chance to get any slipstreaming is down the back straight out of turn 6. But all drivers, like ski racers, they've already pictured where they want to place their cars when they go into the first corner. They'll judge it by who's around them. But the thing that really stands out to me, not just the increase of numbers in the car, great to see the sun shining on them here today after bad weather early this week, is the calibre. The competition is getting more and more intense. Last year was the first year back for Fanatec GT racing in Asia after 2 years away with the COVID pandemic, but it's really going from strength to strength. And this year, for the first time, this race meeting for the first time, we'll have a separate race for the GT4s. So 31 cars out on the grid for this race. We'll have a 7-car GT4 race. We'll do the same thing again tomorrow. And for next year's, we're expecting a lot more GT4s to come to play. Now they know they should get their own race. But a great mix of cars. But the driver who's new this weekend, Michael Grenier, will be driving the 88 Mercedes along with Prince Abu Bakr Ibrahim.
Michael, you have a lot on your shoulder this weekend because your partner is, mathematically he can be crowned champion this weekend. What is your, responsibility here?
No, I think our main goal is to finish the race in the point and score some points and not think about the championship. I think that's the worst mistake you can do. Abu did a good qualifying this morning. His race pace looks good as well. Second race, we're also starting in the top 10, so let's see.
It's your first time here?
Okayama, yes. Only Suzuka before. So.
All right. All the best luck to you and to the Prince as well.
Thank you.
Back to you.
So many battles to look forward to up and down the overall order. Thanks very much for Amy Izawa. Great job down on the grid. The grid is now being cleared. That means the race is fast approaching. The cars should head off shortly. The green light will be shown at 12:40, the start of the formation lap. And the race will be 1 hour long, starting at 12:45. So now the cars in all their beauty. One mechanic per car allowed to be there until just before they're flagged away. Most of them have got the doors open to get cool air in. It's not as humid as it was this morning. 70% humidity, which is pretty nasty. It's down to 63 at the start of the race. Now, these are the pairing, Kei Cozzolino and Takeshi Kimura. Takeshi will be kicking off, carrying one of our onboard cameras. We'll see great progress and great shots through there. It's a fabulous circuit. It rises, it falls, it twists, it turns. But it seems as though the 911 crew for AAS Motorsport have got it right. They've got pole for this race for Vutikorn Intrafuvasak, the first time he's managed it in this championship. And then his teammate Alessio Picariello has taken pole for tomorrow's race. Now, another car sitting down on the grid looking forward. That's the Comet Racing. That was the view from the Comet Racing number 7 Ferrari, which is about 2/3 the way back on the right-hand side as we look at it, looking back down towards the front of the grid, and that's turn 13 in the background. 1 minute board being shown. So we've got to the sharp end. 1 hour of racing lies ahead. The Japan Cup coming to a point, maybe today, maybe tomorrow. 4 rounds. Fuji, Suzuka, Motegi in here, and all Japanese crews can contest the Japanese Cup. There's a China Cup for the Chinese crews. And of course there's the overall Fanatec GT Asia. So we're at the very serious point in the weekend. It rained early on, as you saw in that footage from Tom Hornsby talking about all the championship permutations. The weather was still pretty gloomy in the middle of the week, but we're here. It's Saturday, it's sunny, a good crowd here at Okayama International Circuit. So all set to go off on the formation lap. The last car fired up, the last mechanic sprinting back for the hole in the wall. And the Lexus will lead the field around. A Porsche on pole position, that's 911, that's AAS Motorsport, that's Vutikorn Intrafuvasak, alongside Anthony Liu, who's had a great season for Craft Bamboo Racing in the Mercedes. An R&B Racing number 4 Porsche tucked in behind, and the number 500 Nissan GTR, such a popular car, will be starting 4th on the grid with Hirabon at the wheel. So, black tarmac, black rubber from Pirelli. Get the heat in, get the grip there for when we go racing, which will be in just under 5 minutes' time. So breathe. And now we're going to run you through the grid. 31 cars coming out to play. Mizawa Racing, their Ferrari down in the middle order. Pole position, Vutigon in through Fuvasak, the 911 Porsche, alongside Danny Junkadea, listed as starting the 37 Craft Bamboo Racing Mercedes. Wei Lu and Hirobon, so another Porsche and one of the two Nissans, third and fourth on the grid. Hiroshi Hamaguchi, fifth in his Lamborghini. The championship leaders in the Japan Cup, Hiroaki Nagai will start for Porsche Center Okazaki. Seventh place, Bo Yuan, R&B Racing, still due a good result this year. Lots of pace, likewise Andrew Harrianto, but he was a winner at Motegi 3 weeks ago for Audi. Eighth, he starts today. Prince Abu Bakr Ibrahim, we heard that he is leading the overall championship. He'll start ninth alongside Brian Lee, going better and better in the first year, up from GT4 to GT3. Jinlong Bao, look for him, he's always very spectacular, starting 11th, and Tomohide Yamaguchi, this is the car that's third in the Japan Cup, but really only a mathematical possibility. They'll start 12th. Pity Beer and Back Team, Mizawa Racing, Ferrari will start 13. Birang Zhu, one of the two Climax Racing Mercedes, will start alongside on row 7. Then Kiyoshi Uchiyama, NK Racing, there finding form as they go through the season. Takeshi Kimura, Car Guy Racing, back in the 296 Ferrari. Yuki Hu, second Climax Racing car, and Morris Chen, Hub Auto Racing Porsche. They're row 9. Row 10, shared by Jingsu Sun, he shares with Frankie Cheng, that should go forward. And the Comet Racing Ferrari, look for that one, starting 20th. Row 11, Prince Jeffrey Ibrahim, the older brother, in his number 888 Mercedes, and Chris Oncheer, Phantom Pro Racing Audi. Row 12, Ki Chao and Kei Nakanishi. Look for that blue and white and green Ferrari coming forward. Then Maxi Gertz, he will definitely make progress from a 25th position. In fact, I don't think he's starting. I think his teammate will be starting. And Adrian Henry da Silva for the EBM team. That's Earl Bamber's team. Andrew McPherson, GT3 AMP, staunch supporter of the series. And Kazunori Suinaga in the one Lexus. Then Paul Lipp for the KCMG Honda team. Masaki Nishikawa, the second of the Nissans. And Satoshi Hoshino, last on the grid. Here comes the start. Who's it going to be? And it's Vutigon into Fuvasak on pole. Anthony Liu alongside Anthony Liu, absolutely side by side. Maybe nose in front in the Mercedes. Can he hang it around the outside? It's a long way round. The Nissan up into third position. So Hirobon getting away well. There was always going to be a bit of contact down into turn one. Such a tricky corner, but I think things have sorted themselves out. Unfortunately, the 992 Porsche, I did say look out for Bao Jinlong, he's always spectacular, the wrong sort of spectacle. And then we've lost the 87 Porsche R&B Racing, spat off in turn 4 into the barriers on the outside. I'd be surprised if there's not a red flag with the two of those. Front left corner, front right corner, off the car. Everyone else getting through turn 6, up the rise, then onto that infield straight. But it's all about a brilliant start from, well, it's got even worse for Vutigon into Fuvasak. He lost first, went back to second. The 911 Porsche is down to third. Great acceleration out of turn 6 by Hirobon, up into second place in his Nissan. Then he made a poor exit from turn 7. This is good news because that means safety car. Maybe he's already seen the message. That was why there was a sudden switch from Hirobon. He saw the marshal's post. He saw the board out saying SC. So we've got moments to be cleared up. Jinlong Bao, unfortunately, will be bringing that home. That's 2 meetings in a row. That car has been a little bit roughed up, in fact, by the Absolute Racing container at the back. There are still some bent wings from their event at Motegi 3 weeks ago. And what happened there for Bo Yuan? One doesn't normally go off in the flick between 3 and 4 and end up in the wall before 5, but it certainly did for him. And I think sometimes push can lead to shove down there. So, Anthony Liu started second, duked it out down to the first corner. He's coming around. The safety car will hopefully be just in front of him. Good start from 4th up to 2nd place for Hirobon. Poor start for Vutigon into Fuvasak, not just losing the lead. Maybe he's just being a little bit cautious. Backed it off, he's down into 3rd position. Wei Lu tucked in behind. He was a winner at Motegi, so his tail is definitely up. For Prince Abu Bakr Ibrahim, leader of the outright championship, not able to compete, of course, in the Japan Cup, but he's moved very nicely up a few positions into 7th overall. So he moved up from 9th to 7th, so doing a very good job. So he'll be pleased with that. So 2 incidents within the first 4 corners of the circuit. Right now, the clean-up is continuing. The number 87 Porsche from R&B Racing. Bo Yuan out of that. I'd like to see a replay taken probably if there's a camera facing from turn 3 through turn 4. Sometimes you get a rear shot there, but all we saw in the front-on shot was suddenly the metallic green Porsche being just moving at an angle that no one else was, and unfortunately off the track and into the barriers. Certainly who I think has probably made, so you can see some of the debris, that's off, that looks as though that was off the 87 Porsche from an R&B. Looks as though Takeshi Kimura has made really good progress in that bright yellow Ferrari, moved up to 13th place. In fact, no, that's not spectacular. That's just a position or two gained from the start. But oh, now front left corner damage on the number 2 Climax Racing Mercedes. That wouldn't have been quite close enough unless it made a spectacular start to get into the tail of the 87 Porsche. So I think that was the first corner sort out. We certainly saw one of the Craft Bamboo Racing Mercedes wide in the gravel on the outside of turn 1. We saw, I think it was the BMW number 5 being pushed sideways. There's maybe 3 abreast wasn't the right number of cars into that very tricky first turn. So a little bit of damage out there. Oh, and the car that was spun around and had the trouble, the 992 Absolute Racing Porsche being tended to in the pit lane. Saw Matteo Caroli, who joined the championship last time around at Motegi, was so impressive, having a little look on. But yeah, the front left wing, new one in place, headlights working. Tape it on, make it good. So they've already lost a lap and a little bit more. Now, this is going to have to be a lot of barrier repair. It's a tyre wall down there on the exit of turn 4. You can see just on the right-hand side of the truck, you can see where the tyre marks tell their story, locked up and across the circuit and over the grass, and it's a short blink of an eye there before you could end up in the barriers. So still don't really know what happened, why the car went off, why Bo Yuan is sitting looking forlorn. Now, that's interesting. Satoshi Hoshino started 31st and last. He's gained 14 positions. So, how did it all happen? The start looked clean. We're about to show you a replay of that. But by the time they got to the first corner, things started to get a little bit unruly. It's quite a regular feature here at Okayama. So there's the field bunching up behind the safety car. Let's take a look at the start. On pole position, Vutikon Furusak. Very good start from him, but a marginally better one from Anthony Liu in the yellow and red Mercedes on the outside. Nose just slightly in front. He sweeps around the outside, looking in behind. Oh, someone's on the grass up the inside. It looks like it's could have been the Mizawa Racing Ferrari, but quite a few other cars. The BMW number 5 really not helped at all. The Comet Racing Ferrari off in the gravel, and the 992 Porsche, the most tattered and battered at the end of all that. Now, let's ride on board. This is with the 555 Ferrari. Well, okay, I thought it was him, and unfortunately he thumped into the back of, I would suggest that was number 88, one of the 2 888 Mercedes, and it got really quite unruly. Oh no. Now, the replay of the 87 Porsche going off, I think he might have tapped the sister car. Now, let's look on board. We can see Porsche Center Okazaki's Porsche is just up ahead. I think 87 and 4, I could be wrong, they're both R&B Racing Porsches. 3 weeks ago at Motegi, they were both taken out by someone else. One of the Phantom Pro Racing Audis took them both off. This time, it may well be there was contact between number 4 and number 87, and 87 was the one that ended up the injured party, Bo Yuan, in that. So that one is out of the race. Meanwhile, as they say, Anthony Liu leads the field around. The job for the drivers now is to stay close to the drivers in front. They'll be waiting for any signal they may get from their pit crews to tell them when the safety car is coming in. The safety car is coming down the start-finish straight, so it's not going to be for another lap. At the very least, the light's still on board. Now, Mizawa Racing, the Ferrari's made it back to the pit lane, but obviously they've lost. Well, they're coming. Piti Birampakti's bringing that in from 9th position in that queue, but he's going to go tumbling down the order now. So whatever damage the team has decided to come and check it. So stops bang in place from Mizawa Racing. Not what they want, but you can see the dolly jacks being brought up, so they're going to go under the car. The car will be spun round and may well be pushed back into the pit garage, or pulled back into the pit garage. Because if they do that, it does mean they can get more mechanics working on it. There's only a limited number who can work on a car when it's sitting on the pit apron. communication going on. So the car's on the jacks, the car's being spun round. It's been spun round through 90 degrees, you can see that. So Piti Bierenbakti is going to be shoved back in. The car appears to be stuck in first gear there, anyhow. So he's got to knock it out of gear. Just saw number 1 on the dash there being illuminated. Now, looking to see if there's any damage, any contact marks on the nose of the number 4 Porsche. I have a feeling the 87 was in behind. Maybe the 87 just got too close. The sister car went off between turns 3 and 4, but certainly that was the biggest faller in all of the first few corners of the opening lap of the race. For Anthony Liu following around, he is the race leader behind the Lexus safety car. Good mix of cars. Look, we've got a Mercedes leading, a Nissan leading, a Porsche, Audi. So 4 makes of car in the top 6 positions, with car in 6th being Andrew Haryanto. And he's got Prince Abu Bakr Ibrahim tucked in behind. And just remember, right, the orange car just behind number 4, number 18. That leads the Japan Cup points at the moment. So Hiroaki Nagai's done a good job. He kept out of trouble. That's what he needed to do. And just a few positions further back. You look, oh, now we're going to red flag. Red flag has been escalated, so maybe the tyre wall damage where the 87 Porsche went in is too much to fix within a moment. So they're going to bring the cars back round, and there is a pause in play. So for Anthony Liu, he's got his car to the front of the field, and he'll get to take the restart at the front of the field. For a lot of the other cars at the tail of the top 10, they did so well to avoid the sort-out. Misawa Racing triggering that when got a little bit too close. The back of one of the 888 Racing Mercedes had to take to the grass and racing cars don't combine very well. So unfortunately, a little bit of pinball with the cars in the top dozen or so down into turn 1. Does buy a little bit of time for any cars that are sitting in the garage, including the 555 Misawa Racing Ferrari that rather triggered that all. And for everyone else, bring him into the pit lane. They'll park in front of their pit garages, or will they park in line astern at pit exit? Let's just take a look out of the window. I think that's precisely what they're doing. But Amy is down. Well, the 87 Porsche was the one in trouble, and Amy has gone and caught up with Leo Yi Hong Lee, who'll explain what happened. Let's hope that Bo Yuan is fine.
A very unfortunate start for you guys. First of all, is the driver okay?
Yeah, luckily my teammate is okay. That's the most important thing. Yeah, we checked in the very first time.
So you had a look at the footage, onboard cameras. Do you know what happened exactly?
Actually, it was in the blind spot, so we couldn't see which car he had contact with. But I mean, this corner, I don't see the point of it exists. It's even flat in the rain. And if you're side by side with someone into that corner, it's for sure dangerous. I don't think it's anyone's fault, but we just got unlucky today. Yeah.
Well, let's hope we get the car fixed until tomorrow and look forward to a better race tomorrow.
Yeah, hopefully we have a good chance tomorrow to start in the front and not front. I mean, quite in the front, but yeah, let's hope for the car get fixed.
Thank you very much. Back to you.
Thank you. So Leo Yi Hong Lee putting a brave face in it. Let's look on board. This is seeing it from Misawa Racing. 2 cars clattering over the curbs. I do really worry. I'm worried that obviously, but we've heard that Bo Yuan is fine. The car clearly not, but it could well have been his sister car that he got side by side with. So for those that made it through, they're sitting there getting very warm at pit exit, waiting, not with a clue how long this red flag period will last. Now, one story I just want to pick up on is the fact that the car that's second in the Japan Cup had to start the race from 31st and last position right at the back of the grid. I'm talking about the D Station Racing Aston Martin. Could be a huge story. They started the Japan Cup this meeting 17 points. Yeah, 17 points down on the Porsche Zenta Okazaki car, and that's sitting 5th in the order. But 31st at the start has morphed brilliantly, just trying to 16th. So 15 places gained, and that was on one racing lap, because remember the safety car was out at the end of lap 1. So a lot more to come from Satoshi Hoshino, but it's a big ask. All he can do is keep chipping away, and remember it's a 1-hour race, and we've got a driver change in the middle, and certainly when he hands over to Tomonobu Fuji, it'll go even faster. But talk about presenting yourself with a mountain to climb. Of course, the championship for Japan Cup goes through until the end of the second race tomorrow. 8 races spread across 4 rounds. Fuji, Suzuka, there's Earl Bamber taking a look. He's won Le Mans, but here he is at Okayama. And his car was, let's see, Adrian Henry de Silva down in 28th position, car number 61. So when he takes it over, he's going to have a lot of overtaking to do. And that's when he's going to find just how narrow this circuit is. But at the moment, Adrian Henry de Silva at the wheel of that one. And in fact, Adrian effectively last in the line because the treble 5, the Piti Bhirombhakti driven Mizawa Racing Ferrari came in, got into the pit garage. The 992 Porsche came in, had the front left-hand corner replaced on that. That was the contact down at turn 1. And of course the 87 R&B Racing Porsche into the tyre wall somewhere just on the exit of turn 4. Couldn't quite tell, and it was interesting that Lia Yi Hong Lee was saying couldn't see because of the blind spot in the car. A lot of these cars, they really do need to use their mirrors. They're not as bad as some sports prototype cars, but they do have blind spots, and when you're trying to place your car. And turn 3, turn 4, it's a very fast sweep, a left and then a right. And side by side is not the approved version down there, certainly according to Lia Yi Hong Lee. So there is the broken, battered 87 Porsche, went into the tyre wall. In fact, you can see the contact was with the front right-hand corner, then it whipped around and part way around the damage to the rear as well. Hopefully it's not as bad as it looks. Right rear suspension damage, right front tyre clearly not as it left the factory. And in fact, the whole door, you can see it hit with the nose, went around, impact on one side of the car and the tail. So a sad sight to see for R&B Racing. Chinese team who've made really quite a splash in the championship this year. So that will be brought home back into the paddock. And it's a question how quickly they can get the barrier repairs done on the exit of turn 4. A very fast part of the circuit. Hard acceleration, really effectively. Once the drivers have left turn 1, they sweep through turn 2, maybe a very slight lift, but once the heat's in their tyres, it should be flat through there. Then 3 and 4, and it was on the exit of 4, on the right-hand part, where the unfortunate 87 Porsche for R&B Racing and Bo Yuan went cracking off into the tyre wall on the outside of the circuit. Anthony Liu sitting at the front of the queue, and certainly it's been a very good season for the Chinese racer. Started it with a victory in the second race in Thailand, 10th in the first, sharing with Fabian Schiller, and Fabian started and Antti brought it home for a victory in Thailand, and then he picked up another win at Suzuka. So it's been a little bit up and down, but he's always quick when he's in the car, so that is definitely something to watch for. And he's got Danny Juncker sharing with him, so Danny will be taking over in the second part of the race. Now, Hirobon has done a fabulous job, car 500. Let's go down and speak to Shintaro Kawabata with Amy.
川端選手、前回がですね2週連続っていうところで、間に合わずに茂木参戦とならなかったと思うんですけれども、お帰りなさい。
ありがとうございます。ただいまです。はい、
今のところ順調ですよね。そうですね、
順調には来てますかね。はい、鈴鹿でね大きなクラッシュがあって、茂木戦間に合わなかったんですけど、ちょっとフレーム曲がっちゃった部分切ってつけて。なんとかニスモさんと5次元さん直してくれてようやく参戦できたという感じです。はい。
So since the car crashed in Suzuka, they couldn't come into Motegi, and so it's been a while since they last raced, but they managed to get the car back in shape, and it's looking quite well at the moment. And also his partner is doing a great job so far. So 今2番手につけていますけれども、この先どんな作戦で参りますか？
みんな一緒だと思うんですけど。ミニマムで入って、僕が長く乗ると、はい、そこで、鈴鹿でも同じパターンで、トップでちぎってたんですけど最後に抜かれちゃって、それは僕のタイヤの使い方とかいろいろあったんでそこを勉強したよっていうレースを見せたいですね。はい、
期待してます。頑張ってください。So apparently he learned a lot out of Suzuka because the tire management didn't go as he was expecting. So today we're planning to get the car back in as quick as possible. So when the windows open, and then he will push as hard as he can while managing the tires. So yeah, we'll see where we end up after the race. But we wish you all the best luck, I guess. 頑張ってください。はい、back to you.
Thank you, Amy. Down there with Shintaro Kawabata, and theirs has been a real mix of a season. They did take second place in the first of the two races at Suzuka, but big contact in the second. Car damage, worse actually than the damage on the 87 Porsche as it's brought in to R&B Racing to investigate what has happened. Just heard it's going to be at least 10 minutes, well, another 10 minutes till an announcement is being made about the barrier repairs on the exit of Turn 4, where the injured Porsche went off. So for the drivers in all the cars down at towards pit exit, they're either sitting there stewing or their teams would have said get out and stay cool. I think a number of the drivers are now out of their cockpits, but it is a warm day, as we saw, just over 30 degrees air temperature. There's the Japan Cup leading car from Porsche Center Okazaki. So let's see a driver getting back in. R&B Racing, their other car. That one is the one that's not damaged. But it's always difficult, the first corner at Okayama. If you go up the inside, it's not the quicker line. But if you go on the outside, if anyone gets it wrong on the inside line, it's a bit like a billiard table or a pinball table. You get taken to the outside. And certainly half a dozen cars were pushed off out into the gravel. They all got away from that, apart from the 992 Porsche. So Bao Jinlong rather frustrated with life down there. But for D-Station Racing, second in the Japan Cup, they started 31st and last. They got up to 16th place, and that was in one racing lap. But the thing that intrigues me, not just a great start from Anthony Liu, that was absolutely rock solid, but for Hirobon to somehow get up from third to second, going past the pole-sitting AAS Motorsport Porsche. He clearly had so much grunt in that Nissan coming out of turn 6 onto the back straight that he got the move done easily before they got to turn 7. And just after turn 7 is where they suddenly saw the first signs that the safety car was being brought out onto the circuits. They all came off the power and continued for several more laps behind the safety car, but with 3 laps on the board, they're sitting in pit lane. Can't see who's absolutely at the back of the queue. I think it's a 61 Porsche, the EBM Porsche, is at the far end of the queue in 29th position. And let's take another look at what happened. Clean start from the front rows, marginally better start from the outside of the front row. Last 2 cars very late coming around the final corner, but Anthony Liu got the job done. And you know what? A little bit of caution there from Vutikon. Vusac might have actually slightly clipped the curb. Down into second place he goes, and then everyone else took to the gravel really from 10th place down to about 20th. And the 992 Porsche was the one that was most damaged, and that eventually got going out of the gravel, but rather broken. This is the view from the Maezawa Racing Ferrari. But look, had to go on the grass, thumped into the back of 88, championship leader, the 88 cars. They were fortunate to continue on their way, but where it went wrong, it was that battle for sort of 4th and 5th positions, and the 87 Porsche spun off. You can see front left-hand corner damage on Maezawa Racing Ferrari, but far more damage being done for the R&B Racing Porsche. So that's one of the things the Ferrari crew for Maezawa Racing would have had to tape down. There's a Maezawa Racing bag, so clearly a big presence. They've got a big stage on the outside of the circuit, lots of hospitality tents. MZDA, I thought it said Mazda, but it doesn't. It's to do with Maezawa Racing. Great for them to have a presence, and the supercars were on the grid. Now, I'm being told, the message coming through, thank you very much for the message, that the safety car will lead the restart from the pit lane. So Anthony Liu's position at the front of the queue is safe, but only once the field is underway behind the safety car, and the safety car withdraws, will racing continue. The marshals have been doing a fantastic job all weekend. Every opportunity they go out onto the circuit, just in case there's a stone that might cause a puncture, they sweep it up. So Prince Abubakar Ibrahim sitting there considering life, but he kept it clean through the first few corners, but unfortunately for him, thumped up the rear but got away with it, and Prince Abubakar in 7th place in the line of cars. So let's just refresh your memories, and mine as well. Actually, the order is Anthony Liu leading for Craft Bamboo Racing, second place Hirobon in the number 500 Nissan from T5 Ziegen. Vutikon Fuvasak, who started first in the 911 Porsche and has fallen back a little bit. Wei Lu, number 4 Porsche for R&B Racing, is 4th. Hiroaki Nagai, Porsche's enter Okazaki leading the way. And in the Japan Cup and in 5th overall, just where he needs to be. Andrew Harrianto, best of the Audis, is in 6th. Now, it looks some new sections of sort of deformable crash structure being brought along by the looks of things to insert where the damage has been done. So that doesn't look as though it's going to be the work of a moment. But again, it's when you see things like this, you have to understand the sheer number of logistics that are required in running a race meeting. Have to have every eventuality covered. Well, there's an answer as to how heavy they are. They're not that heavy, but deformable structures don't have to be. They have to just absorb the impact. And there's our own Amy Izawa down at the front of the grid with a nice Fanatec GT shirt on. Temperatures rising up, and certainly the people in the grandstand have all sort of retreated to the area that's got shade on it. It's a warm day here in the west of Japan. Bit of a heat haze down the pit lane. And certainly for the crews, it's much better if they could just start the race quite normally. Well, let's go down. We're going to catch up with the car that moved to the lead of the race, car 37, Craft Bamboo. Let's hear from Anthony Liu and Danny Junkerdea.
Anthony, quite a start to the race. What happened? Did you see what happened behind you? Or?
No clue what happened. Just had a decent start and went outside the T1 and got the lead, and was told big accidents behind and just wait for safety car, I guess. Yeah.
Which is probably in favor for you?
I prefer a straightforward race. I think we have the pace. Today we had a miscommunication during the quali. My last lap would have been even faster, but I was informed there was a yellow flag, yellow sector, and I was told the qualifying is over and backed off. So I lost pole for some reason, but well, I got it back at the start, so it doesn't matter.
So once we get back on track, it means a lot for you and your championship. Yeah. You are hanging in tight there.
Yeah, I think everyone here is driving for the championship. If they said they weren't thinking about it, they'd be lying. So we'll do what we can, and maximum points for us. And this is a Porsche circuit, so for us coming into this weekend was always about damage limitation. So yeah.
Okay. I wish you all the best luck once we restart. Danny, so you're going to do the second stint, obviously. What is the plan? What are you looking forward to?
Well, I mean, Anthony made things easier for me, obviously, with a fantastic start going into the lead. I think we have a really good car in clear air, so considering a weak or a poor qualifying today in Q2, we had some wrong strategy and I couldn't really maximize that quali. So unfortunately tomorrow we have to start from 12th, and that's going to be difficult to score. So if we manage to win today, it's going to be very helpful for Anthony's hopes in the championship, and that's the goal. To be honest, I just have to bring it home. Of course, there's still 50 minutes to go, and a lot can happen, but I feel confident that we can catch that win.
All right, once we're back, all the best luck to you both, and thank you for holding the umbrella. It's super hot here.
Yeah, thank you.
Back to you.
Every pit interviewer should have an umbrella holder. Well done, Amy Izawa. Down there with Danny Junkerdea and Anthony Liu, who's quietly pleased that he got that move done to take the lead at the start. Certainly it was bold, and I think Vutikon Fuvasak was actually very neat and tidy up the inside and decided not to take any risks at all. Don't forget he's running second in the overall Fanatec GT World Challenge Asia Series, so he doesn't want to be dropping the ball early on. Looks as though those repairs have been carried out very, very quickly, effectively indeed. So hopefully the little Kubota vehicle will move away shortly. The vehicle that brought the barrier sections down will be put away safely, and we can go racing. And just to cover that again, 51.5 minutes or thereabouts on the clock of this race still to go. We'll start from pit exit behind the safety car. So that's even more of an advantage for Anthony Liu. He'll be able to go out knowing he can't be challenged, and he'll be the one that dictates when the race sort of gets back up to full speed. Well, let's go down, and Amy's been very busy. Porsche's enter Okazaki leading the way, and we've got Hiroaki Nagai and Yuta Kamimura, and they have done a good job in the first part of the race. So let's go down to the car in 5th place, and Amy has caught up with Hiroaki Nagai, who's done a good job so far.
永井選手ポジション上げましたね。
いや上がっちゃいましたね。はいはい。
どんなスタートでした？結構やっぱね岡山ってタイトなねイメージかと思うんですけれども。
そうですね。こう混み合った中で、前の車が接触をしちゃったんで、どうも無事だったみたいなんで良かったですけど、ちょっと荒れたレースにスタートになっちゃいました。
So since the car, had a touch right in front of him, he was thinking, oh, this is going to be another tough race. But somehow he managed to, go through it and also went one position up. So he's very happy about this. 赤旗中断中ですけれども、この後再開したらどんな、どうでしょう戦略で参りますか？
はい、まずは前についていってチャンスがあれば前に出れるように、レーシングしたいと思います。
So for the strategy, he will follow the car in front of him, and if there is a slight chance, he'll try to overtake, but not go too crazy about it and keep it safe, I guess. では後半も頑張ってください。
はい、頑張ります。
Back to you.
Thank you, Amy. And you might tell Hiroaki Nagai he needs to be getting back in the car shortly because the race restarts at 13:20. So we are 13:11, so it's starting fairly soon. We'll get going all over again, and let's hope with the safety car restart means they'll get through the first corner without the sort of tangling we had at the first attempt. But it's interesting, isn't it, that comment from Anthony Liu. Everybody's out there fighting for a championship because we've got the Japan Cup, which is a series held for the Japanese teams over the 4 rounds in Japan. That's 8 races. We've got the overall championship as well. We've got the various classes from outright, Silver Cup class, Pro-Am, Am, and then GT4. And even GT4 is split into Silver Am and Am driver pairings. So many, it's a busy old podium. But here we are. Red flag has been flown under 10 minutes into this race, a 1-hour race. As you can see, the setting here at Okayama is absolutely fabulous. Almost, I can't think of many places in the world with so many trees on every single hillside. So it's a wonderful place, but we're lucky. The typhoon blew in at the start of the week and blew away again. A few days of high humidity, but today the weather is the best it's been all meetings so far. And again, worth pointing out if you've just joined us, the race is in a little hiatus. A red flag has been flown, but no GT4 cars were involved because they have their own race for the first time. That's later this afternoon. And again, tomorrow it'll be one GT3 race followed by a GT4 race. So they get their own space to play. And with so many cars in GT3, 31 cars here this weekend, it's a very busy track. It's a narrow track. It's hard to overtake, and you can see why maybe a lot of drivers were sticking their necks out a little bit on the opening lap. It's definitely their best opportunity to get past a rival bar, something going wrong during a pit stop. But right now, good to see Hiroaki Nagai has listened. He's gone back to his car. That's going to be starting from 5th position, the car that leads the Japan Cup. But it's about the balance of caution versus attack. It's hard in clear racing here to gain positions, so you do it when it's all a little bit jumbled, but it does come with consequences. It's warm down there. Any little bit of shelter to keep the sun off the cars, very welcoming indeed. So Anthony Liu sitting in the car that went from second at the start of the race into the lead of the race around the outside at turn 1. Vujicorn into Fuvasak didn't make it too difficult for him, didn't want to take any risks. Dropped back to second, then suddenly that was third when Hirobon went past in the number 500 Nissan. Right, good. Looks like the last few of those deformable structures is being shoved, urged, whatever, into position. Then it was pulled out again, but obviously you've got to shunt them up, put them in front of the barriers. The tyre wall is behind the barrier, so again, it shows the advances in circuit technology, circuit safety as well. So the drivers going through their last few checks, a lot of them leaving it as late as they possibly can to come out to their cars. In fact, that looks like it was Anthony Liu walking out, I think. So there I was thinking he was in that car at the front of the queue, but he's probably just getting in there now. But the fans, as always in Japan, absolutely fantastic. They always come here carrying the colours of their teams, the drivers they support, and they're here from the start of day to the end. But Maezawa Racing have got a big presence with a stage just behind the main grandstand, so there's plenty going on for Maezawa and all their fans. And the good news is that trailer is empty. That's because it's cutting as quickly as it could off the circuit. That's in fact the area just inside turn 6, so not coming the whole way back. Again, I talked about logistics. It's about when things go wrong, how quickly you can fix them, because time is imperative. And I think pretty much once this second flatbed is off the circuit, the vehicle with the trailer has moved to safety, and it's just a question of where this flatbed has a gap where it could be tucked away. And so not called into use again today or even tomorrow. And as always, all around the world, we always have to thank the marshals, because without them we don't go racing. And again, it's they learn on the job. They get a massive pride out of tidying up incidents and making sure the racing is safe for everyone. But again, you do have to be trained on the job, learn how the equipment works, and really, when you are at a meeting where there is really tip-top marshalling, it's a pleasure, because things that could delay everything are sorted out without fuss, and we go racing as soon as we possibly can. So 13:20 was when the race ought to get underway. Anthony Liu will lead the field around, well, in fact he won't, he'll be at the lead of the racing car group, but there'll be a safety car in front of him. We saw it early on, and the whole procedure will start again, but from pit exit. So Car Guy Racing, car number 1, carrying one of our cameras, that's Takeshi Kimura. And he'll hand over to Kei Cozzolino, and this was a circuit they're very fond of because they won the championship here last year. This year, of course, we've got the excitement of the Japan Cup as well on top. But they're not in the real reckoning for that. Japan Cup outright at the moment. Yuta Kamimura, Hiroaki Nagai, their car, the orange Porsche, gained a position, so it'll take the restart. Car number 18 from 5th place. And their championship rivals, D-Station Racing, are down in 16th. So, if all goes to plan, Porsche's enter Okazaki just have to keep it clean and tidy. That's all. And for D-Station Racing, they must still be cursing what went on at Fuji, where they could have won one of the races. They didn't, and they came away with nothing. That hurt. Right, track temperature. I think that graphic has been locked all day on 31.8 degrees. Air temperature gradually catching up to 31.5. So I think the slight cooling effect of these light clouds is just having a little role to play there. But certainly from the driver's point of view, they've just got constant conditions, a very, very light breeze. Limpid, I think is the term for that. But it's hot and it's humid down the pit lane. I was just talking about car number 1, and Amy, as if on our wish, has popped up, and she's going to chat to the driver who's not in the car, the driver who won the championship here last year for Car Guy Racing with the Ferrari. Amy has got Kei Cozzolino.
Thank you very much. It's very hot here. Okay, so thank you. I need that. It is getting quite hot out there, and waiting for the car to restart must be quite tough for Kimura-san. Did you have any radio from him?
Yeah, luckily we were able to avoid the first turn contact. So cars in one piece. We had some light contact, but everything's okay. We gained a few positions. We are P11. I think some cars will get penalized in the front. So I think we're looking into a realistic single, maybe P9, P8. We'll see how it goes, yeah.
But looking at your qualifying, I guess that the Ferrari's doing quite a good job on this track?
Yeah, we're improving. But honestly, we got the car delivered last minute. We weren't able to do any testing this year. So compared to last year, we were more prepared. This year we're kind of like setting up the car with a blindfold on. But yeah, let's see what we can do here, Okayama.
But I hope you're enjoying this season.
Yeah, I love this championship. I hope we have a good race today.
All the best luck. Thank you very much. Back to you.
Don't be like me, be like Amy. She gets an umbrella held over her, or a parasol at one interview. Now a cooling air duct shone at her by Kei Cozzolino, but that's good progress. But it's a very good point that Kei made. Last year, they had years of experience with the 488 GT3 Ferrari. This year, learning the 296. With each round, they are making progress. They did step back to the 488 last time out, but they made good progress in the race, as he said, up to a fair few places gained, up to 12th position. Now, another thing that was interesting that Kei Cozzolino said was penalties for some of the cars ahead. Of course, the race officials have to work their way through a pile. They have a lot of things to consider with all the contact on the opening lap. Certainly there was some consideration about what happened to the number 87 Porsche. That was up on screen. No outcome yet, so we'll keep an eye on any potential penalties. But that is the voice of experience from Kei Cozzolino there. Just pointing out, all is not just as you see the order. There could be penalties that could have a major effect. So the drivers will be fully aware of that, just not knowing who's getting what and how soon they'll get it. But all they can do, as bang on 13:20, as per the plan, the race is now back underway. It is, the clock you can see is now counting down again. We had it stopped at, I think it was 51 minutes and 18 seconds, but it's counting down. We're racing, of course. The real racing will start when the safety car considers all is clear and releases the field. Will it be at the end of one out lap, or will there be 2 out laps to let them get the heat in their tyres? We will see, but as soon as the lights go out on the bar on the top of the Lexus safety car, we will know, and that's when all the drivers will have to be right on their toes, ready to pounce. More to the point, if you're in the back of a line of cars, like the 19 Lamborghini is, don't forget that was starting from 5th overall. That's one of the ones that lost an awful lot of position, down to 21st for Hiroshi Hamaguchi. Someone feels fairly sure that was in that sort out either on the exit of turn 1 or just after the 87 Porsche from R&B Racing went off ahead of him. So the safety car leading the field around. The race is underway once again. Anthony Liu leading the field. He's going to be the one that will be the one who reacts first to when he wants to go. The safety car will turn its lights off, it will peel into pit in, he'll wait, and at any point he can floor the throttle. So Hirobon's wise to that, right in his tail. Which have gone into Fuvasak, unless he's got intelligence that it'll be 2 laps behind the safety car, really needs to get a little bit closer to the second place Nissan. He's doing that right now. Everyone else behind fairly evenly spaced. That's good. There's Keiko Zanino's bright yellow Ferrari, the new car for this year, the 296 GT3. And for Andrew McPherson, who's got the AMAC Motorsport Porsche in the AM class, second in the AM class, up to 14th position. That's been a good start to the race. Now, most places gained. What's it going to be? Satoshi Hoshino, 16 places gained. Andrew McPherson, I just touched on him. He's 1 position ahead of him, and he's gained 13. Paul Lipp up from the rear in the Honda, and that's a car that's starting 3rd tomorrow. That's the KCMG car. So the leading car in AM is number 3 Mercedes, just in your shot there, in 8th position overall, just behind the 88, the car that leads the overall championship, Prince Abu Bakr Ibrahim. That car, remember, was clomped up the rear by the Misawa Racing Ferrari in the opening. You can see the slight bit of damage on the rear of that car, only very slight. But the car went quite sideways, so it was a very good rescue by Prince Abu Bakr. He'll have a story to tell afterwards. So the safety car continues to lead the field around. Anthony Liu at the front, Hirobon in behind, Buttigieg into Fuvasak, car number 4, Wei Lu. And the orange Porsche in 5th. That's leading the Japan Cup and is sitting pretty in this race. Before this race, Porsche Center Okazaki had a 17-point advantage. 50 points to play for, but he's in the driving seat at the moment, metaphorically and physically. Turn 7 down the slope. This is the point where they saw the initial message about the safety car. Now, what's happening? That's Anthony Liu at the front field, as per the plan. I think the safety car is going to be in this lap. Most certainly it is. He's spotted that, and he can decide as and when he floors the throttle. Bunch the field up. He just wants to make the driver in second place, Hirobon, not know when he's going. But at this point, up the rise from turn 9 to turn 10, this would be a bit early to do it, especially as turn 10 is so tight. Now, turning into turn 10, I just get the sense he may be flooring the throttle on the exit of turn 11, maybe into turn 10. Looking down the order, 30-odd cars in GT3 restart the race, and already Anthony Liu has floored it. He can't be overtaken before the start-finish line, but what he has done in the lead of this race, he was always going to have an advantage. He could dictate when the pedal was planted. No one could overtake him for the start-finish line. He's gained, actually it's been a good response from the Nissan that's got loads of punch. It's closed the gap from first to second, but bit of a twitchy moment there from Fujikon into Fufusak in third place. Anyone going to be taking a passing manoeuvre? Well, certainly Satoshi Hoshino is going to pick off Andrew McPherson, who was very gentlemanly in the 51 Porsche. He's in another class. He's in the AM class. He got out of the way. And tucked in behind Maurice Chen, the Hub Auto Racing Porsche. Fancies a go up the inside. No, maybe that's not quite the right place. Turns 3 and 4. We know what happened to the 87 Porsche on the opening lap of the race. Ended up in the barriers on the outside. But good news for the driver that's gained the most places so far. It was 16 places gained from the start of the race to the end of the first lap. And the safety car brought them into the pits. We had the safety car restart, and the D-Station Racing Aston Martin catching up now with the NK Racing Porsche, and just 2 cars behind Takeshi Kimura's Car Guy Racing Ferrari as well. There's Maurice Chen diving up the inside of Andrew McPherson, running in different classes, same type of car, both in Porsches, and Paul Lipp in behind in the one KCMG Honda, trying to gain positions. I certainly suspect at certain points on the circuit the acceleration of the Nissan looks absolutely mighty, and out of turn 6 we saw on the opening lap of the race just totally got the power down, got past Fujikon into Fufusak, and looking to do the same again. But this time he's trying to take on race leader Anthony Liu. 6th, 7th and 8th, that's busy. Number 11, Andrew Harrianta. Oh, big moment there for who got very, very loose indeed. Trying to get around the back of the 88 Mercedes from AAA Racing, but number 3, Climax Racing, Hu Yuki, got too close for comfort there. The tail nearly wagged the dog. And that gave a bit of breathing space for Andrew Harrianto in the white car, the white Audi covered with ducks, duck cartoons. Take a look at the flags. Crazy. Oh, I'm suddenly starting to fear for the position of Prince Abu Bakr Ibrahim. He is leading the outright championship. He's 7th in this race, car number 88, the Mercedes, and he's getting a lot of hassle from behind, and maybe he might just be wise to let the car behind go through, because certainly it's getting quite loose for Yuki Hu, tucked in behind him. He's now actually just gained a little bit of a gap. Maybe the breathing space will be enough, and Prince Abu Bakr can concentrate on his own race. There he is in the 88 Mercedes. Through turn 9, up the incline towards turn 10, much steeper incline out of that. Now they are turning to 10. It's quite steep, steepens up. Short run to turn 11 where they turn to the left. Yeah, Prince Abu Bakr, instead of looking backwards, is now looking forward. That's what he needs to do. For Anthony Liu, sweeping around, kicking up the dust on the exit of turn 13. He's sort of doubled his advantage. It was on the safety car restart, he was 0.9 of a second clear, not doubled it, 1.1 seconds. It looked so he'd pulled out more than that. Looking also to see how many more places are being gained by the Aston Martin from D-Station Racing. Got up to 12th position, 4 positions gained on that lap. Started in 16th, comes through in 12th. So Satoshi Hoshino, well, it's not desperate, but he's certainly doing a brilliant, brilliant job. There's Yuki Hu, leading the AM class, and was starting to mix it with the 88 in front of him, but now you sense that Prince Abu Bakr Ibrahim has got away from him, and certainly that was a very bold attack from Yuki Hu. Oh no, Andrew McPherson is off. The rear wing of the AMAC Motorsport Porsche is damaged, and he was staying so nicely out of people's way. I wonder if he was too nice. He got up to 14th position overall, gained 13 positions in the first part of the race, and then unfortunately something has been untoward and he is off at the side of the circuit. Car Guy Racing, Takeshi Kimura, that bright yellow and black Ferrari being pushed very hard indeed by Brian Lee, and Brian was ahead of him at the start of the lap, so it's another place gain for Takeshi Kimura, doing exactly what his teammate Keiko Zolino wanted him to do. Gain places if possible, don't take risks, but up to 9th position. Safety full course yellow, just suddenly spotted Brian Lee in the blue Hub Auto Racing Porsche with GTO, backing off a little bit. So this will be for Andrew McPherson's Porsche, the AMAC Motorsport Porsche, off at the side of the circuit. You can see there was a lot of dust. The rear wing was rather broken. So full course yellow. A lot of the drivers will be thinking, can this race get up to full operating speed, please? We need to certainly the drivers who feel they've got an advantage over the other drivers who start the race, they'll be wanting to have as much maximum speed racing as they can, because we've got, what, 41 minutes on the clock. And we've got the stoppage. There's Andrew McPherson, the tall Australian, out of the car, but now what we can't see during this full course yellow period was, did he rotate on his own or was he given a push? And has it whipped around on having clipped the barriers and it was his own damage with the rear? But anyhow, we can't say. But what I could say is Andrew had done a brilliant job in the first part of the race before the red flag and had gained a load of places. And then on the restart, he had quicker drivers coming through. He did exactly the right thing. He was staying out of the way. He moved up to second place in GT3 AM. He wanted maximum points, as many points as he could get. So he's doing the right thing, but something has come unstuck. So always sad to see anybody out, particularly someone who supported the championship from the outset. Comes up from Australia to do his racing here, and for years it was a Lamborghini Huracan that he was driving, but moved up to the Porsche last year, and unfortunately it's a Porsche that requires a little bit of repair after that contact that's had it out of the edge of the circuit. So Andrew's clearly fine, probably not too happy with life, but he's out of the way into a position of safety. Second, third and fourth. Hirabon, Alessio Picariello, red and white Porsche in the middle, and tucked in behind number 4, Wei Lu. But there's our race leader. He'd got a good advantage at the restart. Don't know why, of course, under full course yellow you have to run sort of maximum speed, so no gaps are opening or closing. But Hirabon is nearly 5 seconds down on the race leading Anthony Liu. One thing, though, is getting smaller. That's the number of minutes on the clock. We've got, in theory, the pit opens at 35 minutes left and closes at 25 minutes left, a 10-minute pit window. But full course yellow for now. Porsche Center Okazaki are leading the Japan Cup element for the Japanese teams in the 4 Japanese rounds. Fuji, Suzuka, Motegi, and here for the final 2. Quick work, that was very quick, getting that hooked up, the AMAC Motorsport Porsche. Manthey Racing livery on the rear wing there. So that will go no further today, but hopefully it can go out and have the race tomorrow, so at least Ben Porter gets a start in the AMAC Motorsport Porsche. But for all the drivers, it's mind management. You think the mind management going on for Vutagon into Fuvasak is sort of get a move on. He just doesn't want to see. No, it's a standard gap. It's 4 and a bit seconds to the race leader, but it's when you get out of line of sight that it's always difficult for a driver, particularly if they fancy victory. And Anthony Liu is 4 and a bit seconds up the track, so at various twisty parts he does slightly disappear from view. So in answer to the question I posed myself earlier, the AMAC Motorsport Porsche went off on the exit of turn 1 by the looks of things, just as the track starts dipping down the hill. And there is our race leader, Anthony Liu, in behind Hirabon in the Nissan, then Alessio Picariello, the 911 Porsche alongside, or just behind, is the number 4 Porsche from R&B Racing. That's Wei Lu, and Hiroaki Nagai from Porsche Center Okazaki. Right, now we're riding on a Ferrari, in a Ferrari, looking at a Ferrari. This is Comet Racing number 7. And that's taking a look. That's Jujiko looking at Kei Nakanishi in the largely blue Ferrari up in front. Still looking for messages, full course yellow, still waiting for that number 51 AMAC Motorsport Porsche to be cleared away. It was being placed on the flatbed, so it shouldn't be too long from now. But Anthony Liu, leading this race in his Craft Bamboo Racing Mercedes, has not put a wheel wrong. A brilliant start, just slightly better than the pole starter, who'd gone into Fuvasak. Other people who gained from the very back of the grid, from 31st position up in 1 lap to 15th, 16th position. Went to D-Station Racing Aston Martin second in the Japan Cup, but the car that's leading the Japan Cup is there. It's the bright orange number 18 Porsche, and that is clearly enjoying life. It'd be a good position to be in anyway, but when your class rivals in the Japan Cup are way behind you, then you can have a smile on your face, and certainly from Hiroaki Nagai, that will be how he's feeling at the moment. Full course yellow. We've had the red flag, we've moved to a full course yellow, but for everybody it's just waiting for the restart. A lot of them know that the restart will actually lead to them coming to the pits very soon indeed. But if you've got a well-balanced driver lineup in a Pro-Am pairing, full course yellow has come to an end. There we are, the green flag has been waved. You can suddenly hear the engine note going up down the start-finish straight. Some of the cars are running two abreast as they head down to turn one. So fingers crossed for them. And again, on the restart, Hirabon, as soon as the power needs to go down, that Nissan, number 500, has so much punch. Oh dear, the D-Station Racing Aston Martin, all the places gained. Number 47 going backwards. The 992 Porsche that was in the walls on the opening lap race is gaining position. What has happened for Satoshi Hoshino? Clearly not enough drive. Something has gone awry as he ran down into turn one. Coming out of turn one, the power wasn't there. Monstered by this group of cars, this swathe, half a dozen, maybe 10 cars have swept past. The LM Corsa Ferrari at the back of the pack, but for D-Station Racing, oh dear, second in the Japan Cup. They were an outside shot, 17 points down in Porsche Center Okazaki. There is the Porsche Center Okazaki car, the orange number 18. Advantage very much their way, so effectively all they need to do to wrap up the Japan Cup. But at the moment there, oh, okay, pit lane open. They're doing exactly what they need to do. 17 points. It was a huge ask for Satoshi Hoshino and his teammate Tomonobu Fujii to try and haul it in. But at the moment, Hiroshi, if they stay in 5th position overall, they'll move to 113 points, which will put them 27 points clear. It will be championship victory in the Japan Cup if they can finish where they are, Porsche Center Okazaki. So the flurry of pit stops, Fuji got into Fubasak as soon as he possibly could. Alessio Picariello moves in, red and white helmet, he's going to take over. So Fuji delighted with his first pole yesterday. Sorry, this morning, how time flies. Anthony Liu, though, continuing to lead the race for Craft Bamboo Racing. He had nobody on his tail. He can afford to stay out maybe till the pits are slightly clearer. But certainly Anthony has been picking up his pace through this year. But for Craft Bamboo, the number 37, Danny Junkadea, so many titles to his name in GT racing. He's pressing on. Anthony Liu in the background. Hirabon, the number 500 Nissan, actually lapping very, very respectable pace. If anything, slightly closing in on the race leader. Let's have a look. Red, and yeah, maybe not so much. So Anthony Liu brings it in. The pit should actually be emptying as he arrives. Some of these cars should be out of his way. Vudagon in through Fuvasak came in to hand over a lap earlier to Alessio Picari. Alessio's just left the pit lane. As Anthony Liu just hits the white line to come into the pit lane, has to do his driver change. And that brings me to success penalties. If you come in the top three, finish in the top three of a race, if you're first at the next race, your pit stop will be 15 seconds longer than your rivals. If you were second, it's 10 seconds, and if you were third, it's 5. So the car that had an extra 15 seconds is the number 4 Porsche. That was, remember, running in 4th position. That will drop it down the order. The car that had 10 seconds extra was the 992 Porsche, but that's the one that was damaged on the first lap. And 5 seconds extra for 88, the car that's leading the outright championship. Prince Abu Bakr Ibrahim brought that in. So if you suddenly think those cars have dropped down the order, the number 4 car in the front of the image will be the one that suffers the most. That's 15 seconds extra. No extra time in the pit stops for the number 911. That could have a role to play. But getting Alessio Picariello in there as soon as they possibly could, correct tactic. I noticed the Aston Martin made it back to the pits, but that's tumbled down the order. Tomonobu Fujii is in the car at the moment, but down to 24th position. Really tough for them. Right, battle for first and second. Accelerating out of the pits is Danny Junkadea. Accelerating down the start-finish straight is Alessio Picariello. Oh, now is the Nissan going to get out into second place? Not quite. So, place gained by AES Motorsport. Braking very, very late there. In the first corner, a bit of brake dust, but for Shintaro Kawabata, hoped to be coming back out in second, has come out in third. And you can see the delay, the extra time in the pit stop for the number 4 Porsche. It's tumbled down the order. Came in from 4th, and unfortunately with the extra 15 seconds, looks like it's going to be in about 20th position, or maybe about 15th, we'll see. First and second and third all in shot. The Audi has gone up to 4th place and came in for its pit stop. The number 18 Porsche, the Japan Cup leader in 5th, has returned in 5th. That's a hurdle cleared. But look out for the number 11 Audi. It's been going better and better through the course of the season, and James Yu Kwai has been a real sensation. He's driving that number 11 car. Could be a top 3 finish coming up. Look out for him. But for Yuta Kamimura, he's where he wants to be, leading the Japan Cup. One more race to go in the Japan Cup tomorrow, but it could be his title this afternoon. Because with the D-Station Racing Aston Martin, they started the race second in the championship, but unfortunately for them, the Aston Martin crew started 31st and stone last. 2 cars have yet to enter the pits. They're staying out as long as they can. Car number 3, Climax Racing Mercedes, Hazuki Hu, and number 7, Comet Racing Ferrari, also owe us a pit stop. And number 7 being driven in the first part of the race by Yorikatsu Sujiko. But Picariello has got the scent in his nose. He can sniff Danny Juncadella just up in front of him, and certainly gaining all the time. But he made the pit stop a lap early. He's got more heat in his tyres. Danny, the Spaniard, will be hanging on at the front. Oh, you can see the sweep uphill through turn 6. On to the straight with a kink, but we still call it a straight. And Kawabata in the background, just watching. In the Nissan, you'd want to dive down the inside. Alessio Picariello would have thought about it, but it's so narrow. Banked corner on the exit, much more banking as you leave turn 7 than when you enter. But look, the narrowness of the track is exactly what Stanley Juncadella wants. He's a lap shorter on his tyres, so he hasn't got the heat in them to the same extent, but doesn't need to have that much grip because he can just block the line of the attacker. That's precisely what he's doing. Uphill at turn 10, turning right into turn 11. How soon can the power go down? Because you can sweep it to an extent through the final 2 corners. Here comes turn 12. Any move's going to have to be down the long start finish straight. Let's take a look. Who's going to get the better exit? Well, Picariello's absolutely in the slipstream. First and second, probably only half a second between them as they come over the start finish line. Shintaro Kawabata not too far behind. And the gap between them, 2.4 seconds. Hold on. The incidents at the first corner at the start of the race under investigation, but after the race, because with the other incidents happening thereafter, the stewards officials don't have all the time on their hands. But let's just enjoy this battle at the front of the field. 2 cars that have already won races this year, and they've always been at the front end. Remember the words of Anthony Liu, this is a Porsche circuit, but somehow with good qualifying they got up onto the front row, made the move at the start of the race, went around the outside into turn 1. Here's the Comet Racing Ferrari coming in, the last car to serve a pit stop. So here's our race leader, but by the time they have got to this point, they're not the race leader anymore. Because actually, no, they still are, but they've got a long pit stop to serve. And here come the cars that will sweep by, while the Ferrari number 7 for Comet Racing is still sitting in the pit lane, waiting for a flash of red and yellow. Here it comes, down towards the final couple of corners. Turn 12, turn in, don't run too wide. Turn 13, again, narrow one exit, don't run too wide. But what's happened, Danny Juncadella did run a little bit wide. He's settled down, he's got the heat in his tyres now. First to second is again going to be about half a second. A great big lump of rubber kicked up by one of the cars there. Third place is now Kawabata. Hold on a second, I'm seeing on my timing screen. I'm just waiting to see if it adjusts, or has there been a penalty, because Alessio Picariello, running second in this group, second in the field, is now listed at the top of our time charts. 37 momentarily is dropping down the order. So I'm looking for any notification of punishment, but let's treat them as still being first and second on the track. Still Junkadea leading for for Craft Bamboo Racing, and Alessio Picariello catching up. Kawabata, number 500. Nissan in third position on the track. You can see the heavy braking, the rear wing on the Porsche really vibrating, all the force going through that. James Yu Kwai, the number 11 Audi. I said he'd probably gain a few positions. He most certainly has. I also said that number 4 Porsche lost about 7 positions with that super long pit stop. The extra 15 seconds for taking victory in the second of the races at Motegi. Now track warnings starting to come in various instances. Car number 72. Turn number 8, that's the, don't really want to go wide there, it's the downhill one as you approach the back of the paddock, but warnings can lead to punishments. Now, in the background of the shot, the car listed as 4th overall but 5th on the track is the car leading the Japan Cup class. It's Porsche's enter Okazaki. They're doing exactly what they need to do. Where is the D-Station Racing Aston Martin? Up into 19th. So whatever the problem was, it went away. But certainly we saw 6-8 positions being lost on the restart. Now, Vutagon Fumasak led the race on the dash to the first corner, got overtaken, went to second, back to third. The car is now in second place.
Vutikan, great job. You brought the car back safely, and I don't want to keep you too much away from the screen, but great battling happening there.
Thank you. Yeah, I didn't do quite good start, but to be honest, I had a fresh tire, not a new, so that might probably, yeah. So I lose 2 positions, but yeah, managed to come back with P3. I think we'll see if Alessio can do his job now.
I think you desperately need this win. Looking forward to the championship. What are you looking forward to? I know it's Alessio in there, a lot of trust there, but
yeah, I mean, it's hard to plan because everyone is quite competitive, right? And yeah, we'll see after the race.
I hope to see you on the podium then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, at least Amy doesn't have to tell him he's lost the lead because he has lost the lead because Danny Junkadea has been reinstated at the top of the field. So it was a transponder problem. We can see the 37 Craft Bamboo Racing Mercedes leading the way from the 911 Porsche. So third has become second, so it was a good pit stop for the AAS Motorsport crew, but Danny Junkadea now settling down the front of the field. Car that's going to be gaining places, number 4, now in the hands of Patrick Pile. This is the car that fell down to 11th position due to having success penalties, which meant 15 seconds extra in their pit stop. Now, lapping is going to be taking place. This could be the moment for Alessio Picariello to try and get right on the tail of Craft Bamboo Racing's Danny Junkadea. That was a nice 360, was so gentlemanly, but you can see the track is so narrow. The driver at 360 is Tanaka, Sushi Tanaka, getting out of the way, but there's so little space between turn 7 and turn 8 to get out of the way. And if you're on the left-hand side of the track, it means the driver's going around, run out of space around the outside. But Danny Junkadea did it very well indeed. Alessio Picariello actually in that manoeuvre's lost out a little bit, kicking up the dirt as they get towards the end of the lap. No one else even close. 11 seconds back to Shintaro Kawabata, who's taken over the number 500 Nissan. So he's losing ground, not lapping at their pace. He's been caught by Michael Grenier. Michael now up into 4th place. The 88 Mercedes, the car that's leading Fanatec GT Asia. James Yu coming around in 5th, then Kei Cozzolino up to 6th place. So the order is changing behind the top 2, but it's not changing in the top 2 because Danny Junkadea under threat for the first lap out of the pits. Got his nose in front, and there was nothing that Alessio Picariello could do except to close on his tail. But as soon as the heat's been put into the tyres of the Craft Bamboo Racing number 37 Mercedes, things have been going much better for the Spaniard, and he's now opening out a lip in this race. Big gap back to this number 500 Nissan. He's now got Michael Grenier in behind him. He managed to get past James Yu Kwai in the leading Audi. And a great race for Kei Cozzolino, taken over from Takeshi Kimura, the car guy racing Ferrari. up to 6th place and gaining all the time on the cars in front of him. That's impressive. Just going to have a quick rundown through the classes. In GT3 AM, it's still the number 3 Mercedes. Just saw it flashing its headlights and leading the class. Now, a few positions further back is the Aston Martin, behind the second of the Craft Bamboo Racing Mercedes, which is behind the second of the 888. Well, car 88, it's running around in 4th place overall. Michael Grenier is gaining places all the time. Let's go down to Prince Abubakar Ibrahim with Amy.
Prince Abubakar coming into Okayama as the championship leader. Must have been quite nervous for you?
No, I mean, our goal is still the same, even though we are championship leaders. Yeah, the title will be decided here, and we still have some fun, so let's see how it goes.
So at the moment you are on P4, which is looking great. What do you think is the key to, get on the podium today?
Well, hopefully Mick does a great job with the tires, and hopefully we can carry that pace all the way to the end.
All right, so all the best luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. And Prince Abubakar Ibrahim, well, it'll be a very, very proud moment if he can win the championship in his 2nd season of racing. The final round at Sepang, so much closer to home for him. But a good little battle, because James Yukwai right on the tail, building on the work of Andrew Harrianto. But James is a driver who's really come to life this season, and he's putting a lot of heat on the tail of Michael Grenier. But Michael, Canadian racer, very, very experienced. But I must say the Audi looks like it can do things in terms of cornering the Mercedes cannot. But the point made in that interview was about looking after tyres. You can never really tell from the outset until tyres have really gone off, and the driver, you can see, is taking different cornering angles to how they were when the tyres were warm and sweet. But certainly at the moment it looks so the Mercedes is more of a handful than the more nimble Audi, and James Yukwai is a driver who just really likes to attack, so a lot of extra pressure where perhaps for 888 Racing they don't want the pressure. And all along the 296 Ferrari, Car Guy Racing gaining places all the time. That came up from 16th on the grid, so the fact it's up to 6th is really quite an accolade for them. Sorry, haven't told you the pit window is closed. It's open from 35 minutes ago, and this race is 25 minutes ago, so that's 6 minutes ago. Everyone who needed to make a pit stop has made one. Of course, we lost Andrew McPherson, we lost the number 2 Climax Racing Mercedes as well. We've lost Pittibeer and Bakji, that's the 555 Ferrari. Riding on board another Ferrari, which is the number 7 Comet Racing car, but that's a car that's moved down the order a little bit to 23rd position as it happens. But the brand new one for 2023, the 296 GT3, so sleek, very different profile from the 488 car. It succeeded. Taken a while for the teams to get a grip of it, but it's having great results in its first year of racing. Nürburgring 24-hour win is the biggest one so far. A little bit of a slide wide there by James Yu. Power down a little bit too early in the Audi. Now he's getting back onto the tail of the driver in 4th place of Michael Grenier. Oh, and by the way, the last lap of the race with Alessio Picariello. Sorry, Danny Juncadea set the fastest lap of the race a couple of laps ago, but it's all but matched by Alessio Picariello. Just 1.1 seconds between 1st and 2nd. But the car that's leading the Japan Cup could clinch it in this race because of the problems for D-Station Racing. Sweeping through the field. Doesn't need to sweep very much at all. Car 18 running in the hands of Yuta Kamimura, 8th place overall, so lost a few positions, but it's the ones that don't count. Hideto Yasuoka has just moved past a couple of laps ago. And in number 14 Porsche, that's making very good progress at the moment. Listed as Brian Lee in it at the moment, but I think Hideto is the driver doing the pushing at this stage in the race. He's down as driver 2, so he should be doing the second half of the race. And Frankie Chen Kongfu is now in the bright blue Audi, getting onto the tail of Porsche Center Okazaki. It's about reducing pressure in this race, and it's just starting to increase in the closing laps of the race for Porsche Center Okazaki. What can they do? Just hang on where they are. Car leading GT3 AM is this one? Yubian, number 3, Climax Racing Mercedes. Obviously the pressure came off, it was leading the class anyhow. Then the AMAC Motorsport Porsche went off on the exit of turn 1, and so the advantage was cemented in some ways. There is the D Station Racing Aston Martin. Tomonobu Fuji. I would be so intrigued to find out why the car was at the back of the grid, why the car had a problem just after the pit stop and just seemed to lose all power, lost about 8 positions on the track. All the good work Satoshi Hoshino had done was undone and more in terms of the Japan Cup reckoning. What a cruel blow for them to take. So Danny Juncadella leading the race by 1.1 seconds from Alessio Picariello. So we're talking Mercedes from Porsche. Third place, the Nissan. And this is the battle for fourth place. The outright championship leading car, number 88, Mercedes from 888 Race Engineering. There is Prince Abu Bakr Ibrahim looking on. Nothing he can do about it. Just pray that there's no knock from behind from James Yu. The absolute Audi right on the tail and right on that, and well about a second back in 6th place is the car guy racing Ferrari. And although Kei Cozzolino got quite close to this pairing, the gap is starting to go the other way. Even as the Mercedes and the Audi fight in front of him, he got to within about half a second. He's now about a second further back in 6th overall. 27 cars still going this race. The car running in last position is the 992 Porsche from Absolute Racing. The sister car, the 911 from Absolute Racing, is 2nd overall. So alternate fortunes, I think you could say. So 27th and last position. That means we've got 4 cars out of the race. What's happening at the front, it's stabilising just when you thought Alessio Picariello was starting to catch up with Danny Juncadella. Danny's got a grip of the Mercedes. They've clearly suddenly found a setup that works in these hot, humid conditions. And Anthony Liu will be feeling relieved, because when you're being pushed by someone like Alessio Picariello and he's under half a second behind you, things can happen. But the gap between them now, it was 1.1 seconds at the start of that. Looks so it's pretty much that, maybe slightly more this time around. Both these pro drivers so neat and tidy. Number 5 BMW Seiji down in 25th position. Oh, now Matteo Caroni has come into the pits with the 992. The Porsche that was running in last place. So it's turned into a test session for them. Has he got a left rear puncture, quite possibly? So they're just fixing that for him. But 3rd place for Kawabata, not as good as the 2nd place they got at Suzuka, but they've come back. Good to have them back in the championship and sharing the car with Hirobon. And I think he's fairly safe in 3rd place. We've got, what, 13 minutes remaining. Seems to have lots of runs out of corners, which gives it an air of defence and protection, but because Michael Grenier in the 88 Mercedes from 888 Race Engineering is quite comfortable in 4th place, but at any moment, one little slip up, maybe a back marker, he could suddenly have James Yu right on his tail in that Audi. So James looking and lurking about another second back in 6th position. Kei Cozzolino in the leading Ferrari in 6th overall. The next Ferrari is kind of a 60th. That's the LM Corsa car in the hands of Shigekatsu Wakisaka. It's down in 22nd position. The Comet Racing number 7 Ferrari in the hands of should be Yusuke Yamasaki in the second part of the race. Just one position further back. But the brand new Ferrari, the 296 GT3, that's the one getting the bragging rights at the moment. Very, very impressive run in the first half of the race from Takeshi Kimura, gaining loads of positions. This is the view between turns 12 and 13. One literally feeds into the next one. And you want to sweep onto the start, finish straight, not use too much curbing. Kei Cozzolino, neat, tidy, not quite close enough to get a slipstream off the Audi up ahead. was on this drop here. Out of turn 1, down to turn 2. The contact was made last year. Car was spun around out of the race, but into the championship victory in the end, just ahead of Nick Foster. It's Mercedes, but that's the sweep between turn 3rd, 3, 4, 5, into turn 6. James Uquay ahead of him, running a bit wide, waiting to get the power down, waiting to find some grip, getting it now, heading off. And the Ferrari engine note much lower than a lot of its predecessors, a bit of a sort of like a cat's purr, quite low, growly. Into turn 7, you can see the track rising up on the driver's banks, and then it flips the other way down into turn 8. Oh, the drivers have so much temptation to run a little bit wide there, but you could end up on the grass and that could spin the car around, so caution required on the slope down. Now, slight incline up to turn 10. Scenery ahead of Kei Cosolino, not changing much at all. The 88 Mercedes just sitting there in 4th place overall. James Yu, the number 11 Audi, Absolute Racing, just tucked in behind him, just going out of shot through turn 12 is the car that's holding down 3rd position. Shintaro Kawabata in the number 500 Nissan. Really starting to sense that James Yu was pushing so hard. The number 11 Audi's taken a little bit too much out of his tyres. They're now, his car's starting to look ragged, whereas before it was right on its toes. This is the championship leader in the Japan Cup. Bright orange Porsche Center Okazaki. Now, Michael Grenier, we've seen him holding down 4th position overall. That could be important in the overall title, but the car that could wrap up the Japan Cup is there. It started well, it's run well, it got kept out of trouble on the opening lap of the race, and certainly Porsche Center Okazaki doing a very, very tidy job indeed. Now, is anybody else going to make a play for this? Now, Kei Cosolino, having moved ahead, is also in the Japan Cup. He's taken a few points. The difference between 1st and 2nd is 7 points. That has actually swung the pendulum in favour of D-Station racing. D-Station racing will still be in the hunt tomorrow. Had Yuki Kamimura stayed in that number 18 Porsche in 5th, 6th position and led the Japan Cup cars, he'd taken the 25 points. He's only set for the same numbers on his windscreen, 18 points, because of Kei Cosolino moving past. So a lifeline has been thrown. Thank you very much to Tom Hornsby for doing the points on that. A lifeline has been thrown to D-Station Racing, and if they can stay in the hunt, that's all they can ask. They've been up, they've been down, mainly down in this race, and every time they went up, something occurred. But for Porsche Center Okazaki, running 2nd in the Japan Cup within this race, but leading the championship almost home and hosed. Had Kei Cosolino not moved ahead of them, you can see the yellow Ferrari there, then they would be laughing all the way to the bank. They would be overall champions in the Japan Cup. They're not. Right, GT3 AM. It's been led by car number 3, Bian Yi. That's in 16th place overall. Comet Racing, car number 7. That's Hansa Chico. That's 3rd in GT3 AM, 2nd in GT3 AM. Haven't seen too much of this car. Car number 19, the Lamborghini of Spirit of FFF Racing. Now we're riding with the Comet Racing Ferrari, taking a look through the sweepers at turn 3 and 4. Just the car, position it for turn 5. How late do you turn in at turn 6? How much grip do your Pirellis have at this point in the race? Hot day, humid day. Track temperatures fairly uniform through the course of the day, around 31, 32 degrees. And as with so many GT races, when there's a pit stop in the middle, there's a maximum and a minimum there's a minimum time you're allowed to be in the pits. Pit stops are under investigation, pit stop time. I can't tell you for which cars at the moment, but there may be some crews picking up time penalties later on. All frustrating. But for Danny Yonkadea, his very close when he came out of the pits, just in front of Alessio Picariello in the 911 Porsche from AAS Motorsport, but the gap between them, it was half a second, then it was 1.1 seconds. Last time round it was 1.7 seconds. We've only got 6 3/4 minutes left on the clock, so it's a case of stroking it, but actually even stroking it to the finish of the race. Craft Bamboo Racing and Danny Juncker there are pulling further clear, 1.7 seconds. It's their advantage first to second. And the best of the rest, nearly 16 seconds further back, the number 505 Siegen, Nissan, Shintaro Kawabata. A little comfortable pushing 2 and a bit seconds over Michael Grenier. Grenier is busy, he's trying to protect the championship lead of Prince Abu Bakr Ibrahim. Normally the job of Luca Stoltz. Luca busy elsewhere on the planet this weekend. These GT drivers do race anytime, anywhere, and that's the beauty of it all. So the view from the Comet Racing Ferrari number 7 hasn't actually got anybody to play with at the moment. It's 3 seconds down behind Morio Nitter in the 96 K-Tunes Racing Lexus. So all we can see is the twists and turns of the track. Here, the first and second. Braking at the end of the back straight. A cut corner for the drivers there. Race leader Danny Juncker there, now 2.1 seconds to good. So having talked about it being a Porsche sort of circuit, once the Mercedes got in front, and whatever they've done to its setup, it's clearly worked very, very nicely for them. And surely this is a victory coming the way of Danny Juncker there, and the 3rd win of the year for Anthony Liu. Took his first one in the opening round, second of the opening, the races, the opening round, beg your pardon, at Chang International Circuit. Earlier we've got a pit caller. Into the pits is the Comet Racing Ferrari. We're just riding on board with them, and Sujiko serving a drive-through penalty. I think he's got a stop and go penalty right under my commentary position, so I can't see. Right, car 22, drive-through penalty for pit lane speed. Sealing that, and 22 is the KCMG Honda. That's disappointing because that one had climbed its way up. Eduardo Liberati up to 13th place overall. And a second warning for car number 29 for exceeding track limits at turn 8. That's the Phantom Pro Racing Audi in the hands of Ling Kang. And that's going to be the end of the penalties. Yes, the KCMG Honda coming into pit lane, so 13th position before the drive-through penalty. Will be a much larger number thereafter. This battle, it's nip and tuck, battle for 4th place overall, but the outright championship leader, 4th place, would move Prince Abu Bakr Ibrahim on to 107 points, and Futakon into Fuvasak and Anthony Liu, when Anthony Liu taking victory will go to 111. Anthony Liu will move to the front of the championship, Futakon into Fuvasak will move on to 104. Fuvasak the 4th to 3rd, Prince Abu Bakr Ibrahim to 2nd, and Anthony Liu will lead the championship if his teammate Danny Juncker there can bring it to the finish. Right now at the late stage in the race, the teams have done their points. Michael Grenier getting very twitchy. The pressure is really coming on all over again. A few laps ago, James Hughes was losing a bit of ground. I think he's cooled his tyres down a little bit and is now just having a little bit of a think. He's using the slipstream down the main straight. It's this lap and one further lap beyond, so any move's going to have to come very soon indeed. Porsche Zenta Okazaki, neat and tidy. Hiroaki Nagai, who started the race, and Yusuke Kamimura at the wheel at the moment. They will not win the championship because Car Guy Racing Ferrari has finished. But in the flurry of cars into the pits, the number 7 Comet Racing Ferrari, as long as it doesn't retire, it will be the Japan Cup champion in the AM class, because it started with a huge margin over the number 360 Nissan from Run Up Sports. It's a margin of, I can do the maths on this one, 37 points with 50 points to play for. Yeah, Comet Racing, they should have that title in the bag. But for Yuta Kamimura, bringing the Porsche Center Okazaki number 18 on 11 around in 8th place overall, but second in the Japan Cup. It just won't be quite enough to seal it off from D Station Racing. D Station with their Aston Martin up and down the order. Tomonobu Fuji's got it up to 16th place overall, but such a disappointment. All the hard work done on the opening lap of the race to gain them. I think it was 16 positions from 31st on the grid, and then something went wrong. Suddenly the car was travelling slowly just after the driver changes, just as the pit stop window was there. Car number 22 has just come for a drive-through penalty, and that's now picking up a warning for exceeding track limits, and that's Eduardo Liberati at the wheel of that at the moment. So it never rains, it pours. D Station Racing Aston Martin down, still in 16th place. I think the position up in front has just changed around. I think number 3. Now, we haven't talked too much about the silver class and Phantom Pro Racing car number 29. That's Lin Kang, showing that with Cao Chi, who started the race. And the silver leader is in 14th place overall. He's 3.5 seconds down on the car in front and 4.5 seconds behind. Oh no, Maxi Goetz has gone for a rotation. And that is down at turn number 10 in the compression. But first and second, they're running in the same order as they have been for a very long time, apart from that little scare with the transponder making Danny Junkerdair's car disappear from the top of the charts. But ever since that brilliant start from Anthony Liu, here we go. This is the final lap of the race, down the slope to turn 2. Danny Junkerdair leading Alessio Picariello. That is where the number 2 car went for a spin. I was slightly confused for a second. So facing backwards in the gravel as the sister car leads the race and flashes by. Maxi Goetz going nowhere fast in the other Mercedes from Craft Bamboo Racing. So it'll be a very, very good push into the championship lead for the driver who started the 37 Mercedes. That's Anthony Liu. He came here in equal second place, will go into the lead of the championship. Prince Abu Bakr Ibrahim, as long as Michael Grenier brings the 88 Mercedes through in 4th place, that would be enough for him to go into second in the championship. A fall of position from first, but critical interference that would go to third. There we are, the final lap of the race, and as long as there's no further harrying from James Yu and 88 can get to the finish in 4th, they will still be right in the overall Fanatec GT World Challenge Asia points race at the top of the field. They'll be second. This car, the driver of this car who started it, Anthony Liu, he's had various partners this season, but it's going to be the 3rd win for him. There he is. He's not looking disappointed with life at all. So victory for Craft Bamboo, the number 37 Mercedes. 2nd place, the 911 Porsche from AES Motorsport. BMW coming through is a lap down. Here's the car coming through into 3rd place. Very, very good run from Team 5 Siegen with their driver lineup there. Shintaro Kawabata gets that to the finish, and Michael Grenier does just hold on to 4th place. So that is good for him, and even better for his teammate Prince Abu Bakr Ibrahim, still in the championship battle. Just fallen from 1st to 2nd, but still in the thick of things. So the checkered flag still waving, going down through the classes. Victory in the Silver Cup goes to Kang Ling, just crossing the line there. Car number 14th overall, but winning the GT3 Silver class. GT3 Pro-Am class is won by the car that won outright. In fact, 1, 2, 3, 4, all of the top 10, all of the top 18 of Pro-Am driver lineups. But Anthony Liu will be delighted in the pit lane. We saw him up on the pit wall because his car, number 37, brought to the finish by Danny Junkerdair, and maximum points for them. GT3 AM, by the way, car number 3, brought to the finish. Bian Yi taking victory in class in GT3 AM. 2nd place in class is the number 19 Lamborghini from FFF, and number 7 did not retire. So that is the first championship winning crew, the Japan Cup, the only title class that's been settled GT3 GT3 AM, and congratulations to Comet Racing. They have done it. So Comet Racing riding in with them. They have got the job done with their black Ferrari, winning the GT3 AM for the Japan Cup. Not winning the class today, coming third in class, but that was enough. They had a very, very tidy points advantage, and they did what they needed to do. So, of course, we run through the pits, didn't see too much. Right, incident between cars number 3 and 85 under investigation. Number 85, Craft Bamboo Racing Mercedes backwards in the tyre wall at turn 2 with Maxi Goetz at the wheel. And car number 3 in the latter stages of the race, it was Bian Yi. So, presumably contact between the pair. And number 3 is the GT3 AM winner, perhaps not. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of official documentation. There's a lot happening in that. Oh, car number 3 in 85, no further action. So no sooner do I report it than suddenly the car that won GT3 AM can certainly keep its position. So well done to them. But well done too to Anthony Liu. Victory in this race with Danny Junkerdare, and it's Danny who brings the car into victory lane under the Fanatec arch. Look at that, precision engineering. Stops perfectly. Anthony Liu at the front of the car, very happy with life. Alessio Picariello gave his all, chased in second place, but whatever performance advantage the Porsches had in practice, it's gone away. It's come to Mercedes, it's come to Craft Bamboo Racing. And good to have a Nissan there as well. Yes. So the driver in red and yellow overalls, Anthony Liu, now the outright leader in the overall championship. 3 more races, 1 more for him here, and then 2 at the final round at Sepang in September. But Danny Junkerdare, really good job. A lot of pressure for him from Alessio Picariello just after their pit stops, but he resisted for a lap. Then he got the heat in his Pirelli tyres, and then he just managed to ease away little by little from the Belgian. Well, let's go down to hear from the very happy winners, Danny Junkerdare, and the driver closer to the camera, Anthony Liu.
Gentlemen, congratulations on your 3rd win. It's 3 out of 9. Ain't bad?
Ain't bad.
All right. How do you feel about this win?
Happy, but you know, we're in it for the championship, so tomorrow is actually more important than today. So yeah, we do what we can. Yeah.
Danny, you look, super tired in this heat. You had a full push stint, I guess, but you were cruising P1 the whole time.
Yeah, I wouldn't say cruising. For sure, I had to push very hard in the beginning because I knew Alessio is really fast. There was a time in the second lap where he was very close, so I had to really stay focused, and then of course I wanted to build a gap and try to be comfortable. And like you say, the last for sure 4 or 5 laps I was not really cruising because it's so hot that you have to be alert. It's easy to make a mistake if you lose focus. So fantastic car, fantastic teammate, amazing quali and start. So I just had to bring it home really today, and unfortunately tomorrow we start a bit further back and we carry 15 seconds pit stop penalty after this race. But races are crazy here, everything can happen, and we'll try our best to score some points that are very valuable for the championship. But 1 win is done, so that's something I'm very happy with.
Super win, congratulations again. Anthony, you seem quite calm than usual.
I've been out of the car for so long. Yeah, but like you said, 3 out of 9 ain't bad, huh? Yeah.
Bad. All right, so good luck tomorrow again, and congratulations for this win.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Anthony Liu and Danny Junkerdare. So an impressive win, but it was interesting here from Danny. He does a lot of long-distance racing, but he had to pace it to the finish. But Anthony Liu, who kicked it off, and Danny Junkerdare, victors in the first of 2 races here at Okayama in Japan. Pushed very hard by Alessio Picariello and Fujiko Fubusak, who started on pole, but they've gathered more points in their championship challenge. And Hirobon and Shintaro Kawabata, another great run. Brilliant run for them to second place at Suzuka, 3rd place here. Haven't done all of the races, but for Prince Abubakar Ibrahim and his new teammate Miko Grenier, the points of 4th place would be very, very useful. They're still right in the championship hunt, but it really is tightening up. And Anthony Liu He's now 1 point in front of them on the table. James Yu, another good run with Andrew Harrianto to take 5th for Audi Sport Asia Team Absolute. Kei Cozzolino and Takeshi Kimura from way back in 16th place up to 6th. They'll be delighted they went back into the 296 GT3 Ferrari. So good run for them. Brian Lee and Hideto Yasuoka, very good run up to 7th place for Hub Auto Racing. Porsche Center Okazaki came here with the Japan Cup lead. They very nearly took the championship today with 1 race to run in the Japan Cup, but they'll have to come back and fight tomorrow because they just have come up short because of Car Guy Racing moving ahead of them. But for looking down for D-Station Racing, they fell down the order, they rose up the order and got back to 15th place overall. They're still in the championship for Japan Cup as well. But the one title that was wrapped up was Comet Racing, car number 7, have wrapped up the Japan Cup AM class in 24th position overall. And let's go down to the drivers at Comet Racing. We talk of them, they're the new Japan Cup AM champions with Amy.
ジャパンカップのアマクラスチャンピオンです。おめでとうございます。ありがとうございます。山崎選手、ちょっとゆでだこっぽくなってますけど、今日暑かったですし、フルプッシュしてたかと思うんですけれども、おめでとうございます。お気持ちいかがですか？
参戦、辻子選手と組んで2年目でこういう結果が取れたのは本当に嬉しく思います。はい、ありがとうございます。
So it's the second year they have been partnering up and very happy to this win and this champion. So yeah, he's very super happy and a little bit tired, he said. 辻子選手2年目とおっしゃってましたけれども、このパッケージでチャンピオンを取りました。おめでとうございます。
ありがとうございます。
どんな道のりでした？
そうですね、去年が優勝もありのでいろいろとトラブルもありので残念な思いだったんですけど、今年組み立てて着実にポイントを取れてで、今日のレースもクラッシュ等でいろいろヒヤッとしたんですけども、結びついてよかったです。ありがとうございます。
改めてチャンピオンおめでとうございます。So looking back last season, there was so much happening with a lot of, up and downs. They also had a win at Suzuka, but still they also had a lot of troubles. But this year, everything went well, almost every race, and they built it up until this moment, and he's very happy about this win as well. 改めてありがとうございました。
Thank you very much, Amy. With Yorikatsu Sujiko and Yusuke Yamasaki, they have been much more consistent this year for Comet Racing, and their reward is with 1 race to run in the Japan Cup. They've already nailed that GT3 AM title, so hats off to them, and they've really adapted very well indeed this year. So, 1 race down, and let's look back at how it happened. On the front row of the grid, it was Vuitton into Fubusak on pole, but by dint of a marginally better start, Anthony Liu went down nose just in front and around the outside for Craft Bamboo Racing to take the lead. Hirobon swept up to 3rd position, and then suddenly you had the Lamborghini being spun around into the gravel at the first corner, and about half the field joining in the dusty run, the 992 Porsche in all sorts of trouble. Then Mizawa Racing, Pity Beer on Bankty, well, that's what caused the moment. He hit the 88 Mercedes, that hit the car in front off the track. Then the 87 R&B Racing Porsche off on the exit of turn 4. That brought out the safety car, that led to the red flag, and then the racing had to start all over again. And for Porsche Center Okazaki, they knew there was a lot of pressure for them. Some of the drivers pushing super hard. That was the Climax Racing Mercedes washing its front away. Now Vuitton into Fubusak out of the car, and Alessio Picariello getting on board. Now they pitted a lap ahead of the race-leading Craft Bamboo Racing Mercedes, but when the race was rejoined, the car that came in 3rd emerged in 2nd. So up to 2nd place goes Alessio Picariello, got right onto the tail of Craft Bamboo Racing's race-leading Mercedes, but Danny Juncker, he resisted the pressure for a lap, he got the heat into his tyres, and then he really started to pick up the pace, and with every lap just edged out a tiny bit more to protect his lead and make it 3 wins for his teammate Anthony Liu. Great battling behind, the Nissan held on to 3rd place, but the car that came here leading the overall championship, the 88 Mercedes with Prince Abu Bakr Ibrahim, huge amount of pressure for him, he had to resist. It looked as though Porsche Center Okazaki could wrap up the Japan Cup in the first of 2 races at Okayama, but because Car Guy Racing went ahead, they're going to have to come back and do it on the Sunday. They've got a big mathematical advantage, but a driver who now leads the outright championship is the driver of this Mercedes, Anthony Liu, sweeping through the final corner, or more to the point, his teammate is, that's Danny Juncker, competing the job that Anthony Liu had done. 2nd place to the AAS Motorsport Porsche, and 3rd place to the Nissan from car number 500. But there are the winners, Anthony Liu and Danny Juncadea. A job very well done. So the podium ceremony, we've got to this already. We've had the safety car, but the top 3 crews also all Pro-Am runners, so that takes care of 2 podiums in one go. This is the overall podium and the Pro-Am podium. And Amy Izawa, our presenter, will be about to call the drivers out in the order 3, 2, 1. And all of them, it's been a hot afternoon, and certainly with the delay with the red flag and starting behind the safety car, the many things they had to consider, but very tidy indeed when the pressure was on. So just waiting for the drivers in third place to come back out onto the podium. This is the overall and Pro-Am podium ceremony, and third place should be the 500 crew, Hirobon and Shintaro Kawabata. Out they come. All these drivers be really very hot indeed. Hot and humid here, but another good result. They took a second at Suzuka. They missed several rounds. Second place, Alessio Picariello with the beard there, and Vuitton into Fuvasak. He started on pole but couldn't resist the crew from Craft Bamboo Racing. And out they'll come onto the podium. Anthony Liu followed by Danny Juncadea. So we've got victory for Mercedes ahead of Porsche and Nissan here at Okayama. Job well done, all to do, and of course all the more complicated with the Japan Cup element as well. And presentations being made by Takahiro Sugira, who's the GT3 Tournament Organising Committee. So for Hirobon and Shintaro Kawabata, another good job for them. Second place trophies for Vuitton into Fuvasak and for Alessio Picariello. We'll see Vuitton smiling. And up. Handshakes and trophies as well to first Danny Juncadea and then to Anthony Liu, the driver who now leads the championship outright, and he's rather happy with life, it must be said.
I love you too!
And there we are, another award on the top step. So for the drivers, they've got to do it all again tomorrow. Of course, the drivers that started today will be the drivers going second tomorrow. And a big mix, but just to let you know, in qualifying today we had the top 22 cars on the grid for tomorrow's GT3 race, covered by, get this, just 1 second. It's that tight at the top. But today belongs to Anthony Liu and Danny Juncadea. Second place, Alessio Picariello and Vuitton into Fuvasak, and third place, Hirobon and Shintaro Kawabata. So there will be some sprays, some bubbling. They've worked hard. It's been hot, it's been humid. These trophies don't break, unlike some of the ones in Formula One in recent events. But joy, they've got to do it all over again. The grid will be a completely different order. But in a championship as tight as Fanatec GT World Challenge Asia, you've got to keep scoring the points. And you know what? Cream does rise to the top. So we had delays. Let's have a look at the championship standings in GT3. This is for the Fanatec GT, not for the Japan Cup. But let's take a look as the points are brought out. But I can tell you for sure it's Anthony Liu who leads the way. And by my simple maths, he now has a score of 111 points. That puts him clear of Prince Abu Bakr, who'll be on 107 points. And Vuitton into Fuvasak will be on 104. So it's tight, but it's just moved the other way. The top three have shuffled. So an hour of racing with an interruption, a restart behind a safety car, and we got most of the cars home in the end. Oh, we lost car number 85, the sister car of the car that won, the second of the Craft Bamboo Racing cars. We lost that on the final lap, or the penultimate lap, but we had 25 finishers. And of course, across the various classes as well, we've had one champion already named here today. It's the number 7 crew. We just heard from them from Comet Racing. They've won the Japan Cup GT3 AM title with one race to go. That's tomorrow. But you can be sure they can relax a little bit now and maybe enjoy tomorrow's racing all the more. Podium ceremony still going on. The next people out on the podium should be the GT3 AM class, having just mentioned Comet Racing, here they are, out onto the podium. Car number 7, this year's champions, Yorikatsu Sujiko and Yusuke Yamasaki. Second place in class going to car number 19. It's the Lamborghini crew, which is Hiroshi Hamaguchi and Mineki Akura. And then victory in the GT3 AM class. Car number 3 today, Huyuki and Bianyi on the top step. Climax Racing Mercedes. So GT3 AM, it's been a great race for these drivers, but victory today for the Mercedes of Bianyi. So the GT3 podium, again the awards being handed out by Takahiro Sugiura. And he's reached the ones on the top step. Climax Racing, Mercedes crew, certainly pushed very, very hard. The Lamborghini, as we saw, was right at the sharp end of the field in about 6th place and was caught out in a 3-car accident. They were the third part of the equation. One car knocked into another, knocked them off into the gravel, so very disappointing for Hiroshi Hamaguchi, but they had a good fight back up the order. Ended in 20th place in the end, that's where Mineki Akura brought it in. But that's a car with pace, expect more from them tomorrow. But again, it's all about getting through those first few corners unhindered. It's certainly champagne time up on the podium, but with the champions in GT3 AM in the Japan Cup, they're the Comet Racing crew. Not looking where they're spraying, but they were looking where they were driving, so it's been a good event for them so far. They've got to do it all over again tomorrow, but at least for Comet Racing, for Yorikatsu Sujiko and Yusuke Yamasaki, they are champions. They've already got a trophy heading their way as the outright champions in GT3 AM in the Japan Cup. Eyes stinging but proud, they walk off the podium. But today belonged to Craft Bamboo Racing. Car number 37, Anthony Liu started it, Danny Junkadea finished it, and they did it the safe way. They kept clear of the trouble on the opening corner of the opening lap of the race. Other people got caught up in that and their races were affected. But for Anthony Liu, who won this race, and for Vutikon Fuvasak, who got through ahead of that melee as well, he came home second. Another car that was clear of the all, third into the opening corner. It's the Nissan on the outside of there, behind the number 3 sign for third position. So good to have 3 manufacturers in the top 3 positions. Certainly the championship is shaping up very nicely, both outright for the Fanatec GT World Challenge and also, of course, for the Japan Cup, which, apart from the AM class, which was sorted today in the favour of Comet Racing, will be sorted tomorrow. One more roll of the dice. It's almost there for Porsche Center Okazaki, but not quite. So they would have loved to have wrapped it up, got the pressure off, and then they could really enjoy their racing tomorrow. But there's going to be that pall of tension hanging over them, because as all the crews have seen today, it's been a really, really interesting meeting so far. The weather's improved, the racing has improved. Let's hope we have fewer little clashes down into turn 1. But at the end of it all, it's victory today and into the lead of the championship outright for Anthony Liu for the Craft Bamboo Racing number 37 crew. They took victory today, but it's very tight at the top. We've got it all again to do tomorrow at Okayama. Do make sure you join us.